we ask is that there's a shared cost in doing that, because as it grows and gets bigger, it gets more costly to not only print, but to mail and ship as well.
Makes sense.
Okay. In regards to what we've been up to, we
Mike,
held.
come a little closer to the phone, just so we got, Commissioner Johnson.
Sure.
Commissioner Packard.
Hi, John, I hope you're feeling better.
Thank you, yeah.
Okay, so we held a special meeting. We have a project that is underway with Tim Ellinger called the Collaborative Stewardship Initiative. And one of the biggest topics is around the ecology and the health and well-being of Lake Beulah. And we felt that we needed to have a special meeting where we could talk through that in preparation for some action that we're looking to get our membership involved in our fall membership meeting, which is September 21st. And Tim did an excellent job facilitating the session. We had 68 people attend the session. Not all of those were members. Some had just heard about it and were curious and were there. And the way that Tim went about this is we talked about the hazards, the exposure, and the vulnerability of anything that relates to the ecology of the lake. And the purpose was to have everybody be heard. This was not a meeting where we were going to develop any sort of actionable items. It was to get information out there and on the table and hear what people's concerns were. And global warming was one of those. A big one had to do with the rules and the following of the rules on Lake Beulah. Not so much an ecology thing, but it was at the top of everybody's mind. And I'm gonna back up just a second. Lieutenant Runge happened to be at the town hall here, and we had him come and kick off the meeting, introduce him. He's in charge of the police boats and the manning of the police boats on the lake. And we wanted to give people the opportunity to ask their questions. And there was a lot of concern in feeling that the level and the amount of patrolling that we see on the lake today is very different than what it has been in the past, and that it has declined. And Lieutenant Runge said part of that is due to the fact that the DNR used to pay for overtime for when people were on the lake longer hours. That all was taken away. So they have to stay within the restraints of the budget of what's been allocated for dollars for the policing. So if we want to have stronger coverage, longer hours, that's gonna need to be reflected in the budget so that more people can be hired, which he said is another big problem. He said when they used to list for one of these positions, they would have 30 to 50 people apply for them. The last one that they listed, they had 3 candidates apply for, only 2 of them qualified. So the pool is very difficult out there. I kind of got away from the topic, so going back to the session, also there was a lot of discussion about the more use of boats on the lake, bigger boats, bigger engines, more damage being seen, and what the impacts have been witnessed as it relates to shoreline erosion, to the loss of fish beds, to just interfering with other people's ability to use the lake. Interesting point there that it wasn't just the lake boats. There's some very large engines that are now on Lake Beulah that also generate a pretty good size wave. So also things like the training requirements for getting a permit to be able to drive a boat. You used to have to get in and demonstrate that you knew what you were doing and how it all worked in the boat. Now you can go online and you can complete the whole thing in 2 hours and get a certificate saying you're ready to drive a boat. You may have never been in a boat in your life. So there were some concerns expressed that way as well. Some of the things that solutions is we are in the process of generating a map of the entire lake, in terms of the depth of the water, and mapping that out according to different criteria. So I'm talking about wake flows right now. So the industry is saying, we're recommending 200 feet from shore and at least 15 feet of water, which
Higher.
is, according to organizations like Wisconsin Lakes at Stake, that is really, there's no science behind that, it doesn't back it, it doesn't correct the problem. So they have different requirements. So what we're doing is we're going to have all of these different maps of these different organizations' requirements to have that as we have the conversation, because it's not one size fits all, every lake is different. And as you know, right now, they're encouraging folks to go to Long Lake to do wakeboarding because it's the deepest part of the lake. But it's still a pretty narrow lake, there's not a lot of width there. So there's now studies that are being done in Minnesota that look at the reverberation of waves when they hit, and you get like a bathtub type effect if you don't have enough width there to dissipate those waves. So we are creating a forum on our website to put information out there of videos and information that helps educate people on the risks associated with wake boats and the bigger engines and what it means to our fish habitat and some of the other areas that have been identified. We anticipate, so my board is going to be meeting on the 6th of September to prepare for the meeting on the 21st. We're probably going to have a survey that lists different options as it relates to a solution to wake boats, and they're going to be able to vote. However, you're going to need to be a member of the Lake Association, because what we as a board of 9 are not going to say, we think this is what needs to happen. We represent the whole organization. So it's our job to educate, put information in front of it. When you see our newsletter, when it arrives, you'll see that it is packed full of information that kind of does just that, to educate people on some of the dangers of what's happening. One of the things that disturbs me is there are now, I think, 13 lakes that have completely banned wakeboarding in Wisconsin. People who have wakeboards aren't stopping to use them, they're finding other lakes where it's acceptable. And there's actually websites that tell you where you can go to do wakeboarding. And Lake Beulah is identified as a wonderful lake for wakeboarding. So it's encouraging people to come to this lake that have never been here before to do that particular sport.
Tom, is that number 1 on that list, or top 10, or?
I don't know what you mean by number 1.
Well, it's like to go to Lake Beulah.
They don't have one number.
Oh,
No, they just
it
have,
just, it was one.
here's lakes where it is permitted, and they have the criteria of X amount of acres, X depth of lake, that make it a good environment for wakeboarding. You don't wanna take a wakeboard on a lake that's only 15 feet deep across the entire lake. It's not gonna be a fun experience for the lake or for the person. Okay, so, we suspect that coming out of the meeting on the 21st, we will have information that we as a board will write a positional letter to the town on the organization's stance for right now for wakeboarding. One of the things that they've done on Big Cedar Lake is they have posted a big map of their lake, and they did just that. They have the zone where they encourage wakeboats. They can't mandate it, but they can encourage that this is where we want wakeboats to be. And what they found is people are following that, and it's making all of the other boarders more happy too, because they're not having the constant issues that they were having. The only issue now is the homeowners that are right in front of this zone where all this wakeboarding is happening are the ones that aren't real happy. But it is one of the solutions that will be listed. Okay, we have a new webmaster. So we're making some changes to the website and hopefully beefing up the content of what's out there. So please go out and take a look at that. We're going to have one open board position. Steve Schmittendorfer has completed 9 years, so he will be going off the board. And I just drew a blank. Brian Fonz is who we are looking to go and fill that position, because I will be going off next year, and he's the fish man on the lake, and he is going to resume my responsibility of the fish stocking and work with the DNR and take over that program. So we think that he is going to be an awesome fit. He's also been very engaged in this whole wake boat issue. For him, it's personal because of the impact that it's having on the fisheries of our lake. So does anybody have any questions? I hope I can see you all at the meeting on the 21st, and if you haven't filled out your membership, please do so that you can vote. And, yep.
Quick question. I don't know if it was the management district or the LBPIA, but you guys provided those placards, those like door hanger things about the rules in the lake, the shoreline, you know, all the spots. Where do we get those from if you want them?
So we are redoing that. So that was one of the things that came out of the system. Education, education, education. What can we do to do more education? Even if it's holding sessions at the yacht club or finding partnerships. And that came up. What can we do to create more placards like that? So unfortunately, we didn't talk about it any further than that. I'll make sure I put it on the agenda. But we have some left over from before.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, the one thing that we unfortunately can't distribute anymore is we have the placards that have the fish and the birds that are on the lake.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting sued because the picture of the bluegill that we had on there, which was taken off the website, was considered to be copyrighted, so.
So how does one go about getting what you have left, some of those?
You're gonna be at our meeting?
Yeah, the 21st?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that we have some at the meeting.
Okay.
First double check to make sure there still exists.
Okay.
If not, that will be something that we will be making more of.
Okay, thank you.
I received a call from Tom Stein, and for renewals, I never received a renewal, either electronically, mail, or, so just so you know.
So you
talking
did,
about the vote.
unfortunately, what happened is we went to this new database system called Apricot. And when it got sent out, what a lot of browsers did is they're like, oh, this is spam, this is someone trying to, so it dumped it into a lot of people's spam folder. They didn't check for it, so they didn't see it. So I know that Deborah Dunn has been working with all the area chairs to actually make personal one-on-one contacts with people that haven't renewed, because we had only seen a 60% renewal rate, and we contributed to that issue. But we're also gonna allow for people to up their membership the day of that meeting at the beginning, and then it'll also count towards next year's.
Yeah, which I'm bringing up, because the vote is coming, we have no way to renew it.
You can go to the website and do it online at any time. Okay. Thank you guys for all your support, and it never gets dull.
Thanks, Tom.
Yep.
You see, you are.
Communication, is that?
It's an app.
Yeah.
I have nothing before there.
I did forget to announce, or say what the fish stocking is going to be this year. It's going to be smallmouth, bass, and walleye. The state is going to be putting in the walleyes, we're going to be putting in the smallmouth bass.
Have we sent our annual check? Has the district sent the annual check?
No.
What we need a request to send.
Okay.
You know where we live.
Yes, I will make sure you get an invoice. Thank you.
I think that puts us up to public comment. This is an opportunity for citizens to share their opinions with board members on any topic they choose. Due to Wisconsin open meeting laws, the board is not able to answer questions or respond to your comments. All comments should please be directed to the board. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers are asked to state their name and address. Please, I saw one hand right away. Mr. Stas, could you come up?
Sure.
Please, so Mr. Johnson, Mr. Becker.
John Stoll,
Hills, North Bay, D31, Center Ridge Road, East Troy. So I have a observation that I'd like to mention, and I know you can't answer my question, but, I was at the town board meeting last meeting, and there was a gentleman who used to be involved with, government, and he reached out on 3 separate occasions and tried to get a hold of, the town board, the clerk, somebody to try to get his question onto the agenda. And this gentleman, is a pilot, and he's got a biplane that's able to land on the water. So, he wrote emails to Chairman Krakowski and Kim, and he wrote 3 emails and I think 1 phone call, and he never got a response back from the chairman or the clerk. So he took it upon himself to come down to the meeting and got up during public comments, and he articulated the situation and wondered why he couldn't get a simple phone call back or some direction or email or anything back. The people that we elect that are in these positions on these boards, they work for us, and I know you guys have heard that before, but the job of the people on the boards is to serve the people in the community. And not returning a phone call or an email, it's very disrespectful, and I think it's appalling. So, on my case, as you guys know, I'm in front of the planning commission right now, and halfway between on the town board right now, and I reached out to all 5 town supervisors and our chairman, and basically asked if any of them would like to come out, and if they had any questions, and they wanted to come out and just view the property, just in case they had any unanswered questions on making their decision or just the whole process overall. So I reached out to Chairman Krakowski, never got a call back. I left him a voicemail. I reached out to Supervisor Church, left her voicemail, never got a call back. I reached out to Michelle Reyes, and she did come and she did look and ask questions, and seemed generally interested in finding out what's going on here. I reached out to Joe Johnner, and he came out, he looked around, he asked a few questions. I also reached out to Tyson Leonard, and he came around, looked around, asked some questions. So I appreciate all the hard work that the board members do, because it's a never-ending job. You have all the people in the community pulling it one way, pulling it another way. But if you're on these boards, you'll have a responsibility to make sure that the people that you serve feel like you're serving them, not just up there mailing it in for whatever interests they have. I found it very dissettling when that guy came from a different community and reached out, and he couldn't get a simple return email or return call, and then he came down here to the meeting, and Chairman Krakowski said, well, I'm not putting it on the agenda, somebody else can put it on the agenda. So my thought is, what is your guys' thoughts? And I know you can't answer, but if you wanna say something, you guys care if they're playing on the that's all. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments? With that, I think we need to set the next annual meeting, for 2025. Oh, we're gonna turn that until June of 2025, should rather complete sentence there. We do need to determine the next regular meeting date. I would suggest that you're going to move it for the next. Thank you all for attending.